Hi, I'm Dave Selinger. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Deep Sentinel, and congratulations on getting your Deep Sentinel system. Let's get you started. It's going to take about 30 minutes to get set up, and I just want to make sure that you got everything you need in order to get going. First of all, you need to have, of course, your Deep Sentinel system, and you need to have a ladder so you can install the cameras in the correct locations. I also have my electric drill, because we're going to be doing some masonry work here. If you're just installing in wood, like in eaves or the patio, you don't need anything. We include a screwdriver, but I also happen to have my electric screwdriver with me here. The last thing you need to do is have a nice clear workspace near where your home internet router is. This is the Google Wi-Fi one. Yours might look similar to this, or it might come from your cable company. Once you get that together, let's unpack the contents and get started. All right, when you first open up your Deep Sentinel package, the first thing you're going to notice is your lawn sign. This is a 3-piece lawn sign. You've got your actual lawn sign, and then behind here, you've got a stake, which comes in 2 pieces, and a plastic joiner. Make sure you put that plastic joiner into the stake, take your lawn sign, remove the plastic from the front of it, which just peels right on off, and then you attach it to the stake using the adhesive on the back. Once you've got that stake in the right location, you wanna put this right out in front of your house to let folks know that this is not a house to be messed with. All right, so here I've unpacked the Deep Sentinel box. I'm gonna point out the key things that you've got inside here. Obviously, the first thing you're gonna see here are your 3 cameras. These are the centerpiece, the eyes and the ears, if you will, of the system. The next thing you have is the hub, and then you have 2 boxes. Your Connect box, which helps you get the hub up and running and connected to the cloud. The second box you've got here is your install box. This has your mounts and your mounting hardware, and it also has your window clings. Also, just like your yard sign, this is important to be able to let folks know this is not the house they want to mess with. To get connected, the first thing you want to do is open up the Deep Sentinel app, push the Start Now button, which is going to instruct you to open up the Connect box, take out the Ethernet cable, which I've already untwist tied here, and connect the hub. So I'm going to plug this into the back of the hub, right there in the Ethernet port. And then I'm gonna plug the other end of the Ethernet cable into my Wi-Fi router. This is, again, Google Wi-Fi. So I plug that into the Ethernet port on the back of my Google Wi-Fi router. And then I take out my power cable, and there's an optional extender to the power cable here. I'm not gonna use it in this case, but if you need an extra few feet, you've got an extra few feet there. Plug this into the back of the hub and then plug it into the wall. That goes in there, and this goes in the wall. Now, where you place your hub is an important element of your Deep Sentinel system, because the hub sends a wireless signal to all of your cameras. You're gonna wanna make sure that it's in a kind of central location where it can reach all those cameras. It's also important that you follow a couple of key rules of thumb. The first one is that you want it to be near your router, obviously, because you gotta connect it with an Ethernet signal. If this is your Wi-Fi router as well as like a hub or something like that, you also want to make sure that it's at least a couple feet away. Otherwise, their wireless signals will interfere with each other. You do not want to put the hub underneath or near a microwave, behind a television, underneath a desk. All of those things cause immediate interference. In fact, one of the cleanest ways to think about this is, what's my line of sight? What can I see from the location where I put the hub? You want it to be about 6 to 8 feet up in the air. In fact, if you have a second story, you're gonna wanna put it in that second story, if at all possible. Now, if you have problems connecting the cameras in the various locations, one of the first things you can try is just moving that hub around a little bit and see if it improves your signal strength in all of your cameras. And I bet you're gonna be able to find a spot where you get the strongest signal for all of them. So as soon as you plug your hub in, you're gonna notice that the green LED is gonna be flashing. That's to tell you that things are okay, but it's still connecting to the internet and getting set up. Now that the hub is fully connected to the internet, it's gonna be shining a solid green light here. So we go back to the app and confirm that we're connected. Before we do that, let's just double check that we're connected to the exact same network, this Wi-Fi network that the hub is connected to. That's how the phone app is gonna detect the hub. So as soon as I push this, it's gonna say that it's connecting to the servers and looking for the hub. Bam, success. So my hub is updated. At this point, your hub will either need to do a firmware update or it may already be updated. If it does need to do a firmware update, which means it's gonna download brand new updated software from the cloud, that can take up to about 5 minutes. Once Deep Sentinel is done updating the software on your hub, you're gonna get a screen that looks like this. It says you're done updating the hub, just push the next button. And the next thing we're gonna do is charge your spare battery. Deep Sentinel comes with 4 batteries, so this is your extra one, making it super easy to change batteries when you need it. And the charger is actually built right into in your hub. So you slide the battery in with these golden contacts facing down, and we are now done with the Connect box. Now that you place that spare battery in the hub, go ahead and push the next button here. And the next step is connecting our cameras. This is where it gets a little bit more fun. So we're gonna grab one of the batteries out of behind the cameras in the case. You'll notice it has a little thing that looks like a white donut there. That's just to protect it during shipping. Go ahead and grab the tab and pull that off of all 3 of the batteries. It should be nice and clear, just like the one that we put in the spare battery charger. So I'm gonna follow the directions here on the app, which say to go ahead and insert the battery. I open up the back with about an 1/8 of a turn. Pop this battery in, same thing, golden contacts first, slide it in, it should slip in nice and easily, put the cap on and twist it. You'll notice that the dots on the cap line up. When you can remove it, you twist it and it should kind of snap into place when it's ready to go. You'll double check that the hub is flashing a bright white light, and I'm gonna push the button on the back of the camera and it's gonna do the same thing. So they're both flashing their bright white lights. They're looking for each other. They're gonna be able to attach the camera to the battery in about 30 seconds. When it does attach, you'll hear that sound. That's your confirmation sound. We call that the shing sound. And the hub should continue to flash white. And now it's time to go ahead and connect the second and third cameras. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the second and third cameras here. There you go, second camera is connected. I'm just gonna, again, do a short press in the back of this camera. Put that one in. And again, you're gonna notice a white flashing light and a white flashing light here. This one may change for just a second, which indicates that it's thinking and trying to pair the two. But again, within about 30 seconds, this one should pair. Perfect. Now I've gotten all 3 cameras connected. You're gonna get 3 check marks on the app right here. When you take the camera out of the box, be sure to remove the little plastic protector that goes right in front of the motion detection zone of your camera. All right, now that you got your 3 cameras connected to your hub, the next step is to start mounting these puppies to your house. So we push next on the app, and it's gonna instruct us to open up the install box and take a look at our mounting hardware. I've already done that here, so I'm gonna grab one of the mounts, and it's a great opportunity for us to take a look at how these things work. The first thing you're gonna notice is that the mount has a slide, where you can put your thumb right here and push up, that hides the install screw. This is a particularly important mechanism because it enables us to install these cameras with just a single screw without having to line up multiple holes, for example, on masonry, which is particularly hard. We also put these 3 pressure touch points on the back, which prevent the camera from rotating once it's installed, even though there's only a single screw for installation. Now I'm gonna slide this closed, and the other thing I'm gonna take a look at is this connector. This connector here, it's slightly concave here, lines right up with the back of the camera. So I'm gonna set it on there, lines right up, and then it can slide on in and connect. You'll hear a slight snapping sound when it's connected, and then I can disconnect it by just pushing this little button here on the side and slide it back in. The ball joint that attaches the camera to the mount is what's called a fixed pressure ball joint. That means I don't have to tighten anything, I don't have to mess around at the top of a ladder. It's a very strong ball joint that holds the camera right in place wherever it's at, and you just adjust it and make sure it's pointing the right direction. The other mechanism you're gonna notice, which a lot of people don't see, and it's my personal favorite, is this rotating ring. The rotating ring means that if you want to install the camera from the eaves, it's a very easy, quick, and easy to installation. There aren't a ton of moving parts. You can actually even install it like around a corner, for example. Very easy and simple to understand without a lot of complex steps. Let's go ahead and push next. And that next button is going to instruct the app to choose one of these cameras to be our front door. I've fortunately chosen the right one here. So let's go ahead and grab this camera, grab our install box. I'm going to snag my drill, my electric screwdriver, and my ladder, and we're going to head to the front door. So now that I'm at the front door, I want to think about two things when I place my camera. The first is the actual location and the field of view of the camera, what it can see. And the second is the signal strength. I want to make sure that the signal's strong enough that I'm getting consistent streams of video to the hub, to the AI, and then ultimately to our security guards. So in a case of a front door, you want to make sure that you can capture as much of the approach as well as you want to make sure that the actual door is in the field of view. So in this front door, the first thing we want to pick is the location of the camera so that we can see as much of the approach and the door. The two locations that make sense because this front door is recessed is above the door to the left or above the door to the right. In this example, I've put it to the right, and the next step is to go back to my app, and now that I have some proposed locations, I am going to check the signal strength as I go, and I'm going to check the field of view. So I push check the field of view. I'm going to carry my camera up there and look at my app, which should be streaming the video right now, and just check what does it look like when I put the camera right here. What's the signal strength and what does it look like? Once I've picked a candidate location for where I want to put the camera, I'm going to want to check it, not just in that general area, but in that exact location, because the Wi-Fi signal and the strength of that signal might change between this location down here in front of the door and up here above the door. In fact, in this particular case, because this house is stucco, it's going to affect the strength of the signal. So I want to hold the camera in the exact location and then check on the app to tell me whether it has 1, 2, or 3 bars on the live view. Or I can just push the next button and it will tell me, is this a thumbs up or is this a thumbs down signal strength? Now it's time to drill. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my install box, take out my window clings, I'll do those later. And here I've got a screwdriver, and in this little box here, I've got my anchors, screws, and masonry bit. You're gonna notice with these screws that they're self-drilling. They've got these little blades at the tip, which means if I'm installing in wood, I'll just do an example for you here so you can see it. It's actually crazy easy to do. So you would just place the opened up mount on the wood, grab your screwdriver, put the screw through the hole, and it will actually drill its way in. You don't even have to push that hard, actually. It's designed to be able to do this on the top of a ladder. And you can just screw the screw right on in through the mount. Once that's there, you check that it's in securely. I'm pushed on the sides here. It does not rotate at all. Pop that down, and I'm ready to go. I can mount my camera right onto the clip. Now that we've installed this in the wood, we're going to do a masonry installation. I'm going to grab my masonry bit here, pull it out of the sleeve. I'm going to install it in my my drill here. Tighten the chuck, make sure that's nice and tight. So to drill in masonry, you take the masonry bit, you line it up with your proposed hole, and you just push in and drill. It's going to knock out a little bit of debris. In this case, this is stucco. You want to make sure that that doesn't get in your eye. But pull it on out. We're going to grab the anchor and install this camera mount. So you notice these plastic anchors are going to fit right on into that hole. So you slip it into the hole and just push it in with your thumb. So once you have that masonry anchor in place, you can use the exact same screw and screwdriver that you did on wood. You go ahead and put the screw through the mount before you get up on the ladder, and then just screw it on in using the included screwdriver or your electric screwdriver. Once that's in, again, you're going to want to check it to make sure that it's nice and snug and doesn't rotate. Go ahead and snap that back on closed, and it's time to mount the camera. And just like we did next to the connect box, we connect the camera to the mount, and it pops in with a little snap. We're done with our first camera. Once I come on down the ladder, I'm gonna grab my app, push next, and it's gonna pull open a live view, and it's time to set what's called a protection zone. You want the protection zone to cover the area of the field of view in the camera that you want protected. This should include the walkway coming up to your front door. I'm just gonna drag each of these anchors to draw a box around the walkway coming up to the front of my house. It doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure that all these areas are protected. This tells the artificial intelligence, this is the part of your home that I want to make sure gets protected. So if anyone walks into that, that's when the security guards are going to be watching that person. So I go ahead and set that. I push next on the app, and we're moving on to the next camera. Let's go back to the kitchen where we got those cameras waiting for. When I return to my kitchen and I push next, I'll notice that my other camera is now lit up and telling me this is our backdoor camera. Let's go ahead and grab this, our install box, our ladder, and our tools, and head on back to the back door. So here we are in my backyard, and I want to be protecting this sliding glass door and the main entrance leading up to it. So I'm going to place the camera up here on the eaves so that it can capture the activity at the door as well as anyone approaching along the main way. Now, this is an opportunity I want to take to mention that we made these cameras wireless for a reason. And that's that if you want to move them after you've installed them, you can do it, and it's just as easy as the original installation. It's just a single screw. If you need to do that because you realize, gosh, this angle isn't quite right, or maybe my signal strength isn't strong enough, it's just a few minutes to move. You really want to make sure that you're not overthinking it here. You want to do the right thing, but you don't have to be worried. If I do it in the wrong spot, I can move it later, and it's not a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and install it here, right there on that upper eave. And now that it's installed, I can check my signal strength, make sure the camera field of view looks good, move on to the next step. So just like the first camera, it's time to set our protection zone. In this case, I'm gonna cover the area leading up to my walkway and my front door, or my back door. Push next, and it's time for us to grab our third camera. In this case, I'm gonna be having to choose which location I wanna put the camera. I'm gonna be putting this over my driveway, but you can do it side entrance or another path or walkway. So I'm gonna pick my driveway, go next, and I'm gonna go grab that camera and head on over to the garage. So here we are on the driveway. I brought my camera with me, and I've actually gone ahead and pre-drilled this just to make sure that it's nice and easy, but I chose this location because it's got a nice, strong signal strength. It's 2 bars, and when I set it up here, it shows the dB rating right below the signal strength, which you want to keep below 78 if you can. And for those of you that are techies, you know that means that's how much interference and how strong your signal is. But I chose this location because it's able to see the garage doors, and it's able to project on down and protect the whole driveway. Remember, the motion detection range is about 10 meters. And so 10 meters from here, I can protect almost the entire driveway with a single camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang it on up and then verify the signal strength. So once it's up, I push next. Looks good, I got the thumbs up. I go on to the next couple screens here. Clip it in, and now it's time to set our protection zone. Okay, so the next screen here, we're gonna set the protection zone. I'm gonna wanna protect my entire driveway. So I'm gonna pull the these little red pins all the way down to the bottom here. And I'm even gonna put my pickup truck there inside of the protection zone. Push next. And now we have completed the setup for all of our cameras. One of the neat next steps here is where you get to test the cameras and make sure they work. That's called agent validation. And you can do this in any of your cameras. Walk in front of them. Hold your hands in a formation like this. And when you see the red ring spinning, about 5 seconds later, you should get a confirmation that the live Sentinel agent, a real human being, is able to see you and able to verify that your home is secure. Here I've entered all my information in. I've got my account created and we're just about ready to test out our Deep Sentinel system. We also need to enter in the exact information for your street address to make sure that your home is protected, and we call the right police department in case something happens or send them to the right location. Now I've entered my emergency contact information. This enables Deep Sentinel to send the authorities to the right address in the event that there is a problem. I'm gonna have to allow notifications on my app. Now that I've done that, the app can send me notifications and I get my final activation screen. This is gonna turn on all the motion detectors, the AI, and the computer vision on your cameras. Once you push this screen, we are up and running and we'll be able to check in on our home screen. And I'm gonna go test out that customer service hand signal and see if we can get an agent to confirm that my system's working okay. I'm gonna learn a little bit about some of the features here, but I'm gonna race through that so that I can show you how my cameras are working. And now I'm gonna go test my customer service hand signal and see if I can get an agent to confirm that my system is working okay. So I stand in front of the camera, I raise my hands like this, and I wait about 5 to 15 seconds. And there we go. I have a Deep Sentinel agent confirming that my cameras are working okay. Thank you, I'm fine.